Now, for my job, I have to travel around Australia quite a lot to do things.
Yeah.
Is there something you'd like to add, Sonic Fan?
Good. I'm sure I have a choice.
Oh my gosh, Sonic Fan, you're fantastic at interrupting, aren't you? So anyway, for my job, I have to travel around. Oh my gosh, Sonic Fan!
I'm just
You good,
talking
Sonic
to
Fan?
myself, okay?
You're talking to yourself, aren't you? Yeah. Listen, it takes me tries concentration to tell my Australian story. Alright, so, now you're gonna stand in front of me when I'm looking at myself in the mirror. Thank you, Sonic Fan.
But to me, you're above me! You're all floating above me! Oh no, my hand went away. Oh no.
Poor Sonic Fan, we know. Alright, so, can I start, Sonic Fan? Are you good? You good? You good? Shut up, Sonic Fan.
Yeah, yes, I approve of this.
Alright, so, for my job, I have to travel around and visit things. So, one time, I had to stay in this park with a bunch of, what are they called? They're cabins. So, there's a whole bunch of cabins around this park. And I'm there minding my own business, and I'm walking along, having a good time, and then something hits my leg, and it's like, just bangs my leg. I'm like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And then I look down, and there's this little drop bear, and he bites the back of my shoe, and I'm like, ah! And so I jump forward, rips my shoe off, and he's like, dragging it. It's like, you know, how a dog like gets a bone, they go, that's what this stupid drop bear's doing, alright? It's a stupid drop bear, and he's going, and it's dark, and I can't see properly, and I'm like, ah! And so I start hopping away. So I hop to the nearest cabin. And I kind of burst in the door, because this little thing's chasing me. It's like a little terror, it's a little black thing. He's like, rah! Get inside the closest cabin, alright? And so I slam the door shut, and the screen door shut, and he's outside, and he's clawing the screen door to shreds. I'm like, ooh. So anyway, I've just run into like a random cabin. And so the person in the cabin, they're like in their bed, and they're like getting up, and they come over, and they like kind of open the door. And by this time, the little creature, it's run away. Stop that, Sonic Fan, get out of here. It's really distracting when you stick your hands through me and then start waving them around in my face.
I think his controllers are broken.
Get out of here, Sonic Fan. Just move back a meter, alright? So anyway, I'm in the cabin, this chick comes out her door, opens the door and just looks at me. Did you see this grump face, Sonic Fan?
I can't see anything, remember?
Very disappointing.
When you look to the side, I thought you was looking at this guy, who is probably right here next to me, but I see him up there.
Shut the fuck up, I want to hear the story.
Story time.
So, alright, now I've got to re-establish the scene. Alright, so I've walked into this random cabin with this creature attacking me. He's got my shoe, he's shaking it around outside. I'm shutting the door, he's attacking the screen door. Now, the woman who lives in this house, well, doesn't live there, but she's staying there, she now opens the door, and she, like, sleepishly looks at this random guy who's now in her house with one shoe on. And I point to the door, but the thing's gone, and it's dark outside. Like, you gotta remember, it's all dark. There's a full moon, but it's still really dark. And so it's not there, and I'm just like turning around going, hey, human! So, anyway, there's a scream outside. And I'm like, oh! And so there's a massive scream. So I know this creature's gone off and attacked someone else. So I grab the torch that's on the bench there. And you don't need to know about the details, but there's a bench there next to it's a kitchen. So I grab the torch, and I run out. And well, I don't know what happens to her after. I run out, so I'm running outside, and I've got the torch on, and I run into the kitchen. So there's a shared complex with a kitchen in it. So I run into the kitchen where there's noises, and I see a woman there, and she's bleeding profusely from the ankle because that creature is now biting into her leg, not ankle, yeah, into her ankle, into her leg, and it's like it's ferocious. So like it was pulling my shoe around, like it dropped the shoe. So it dropped the shoe, I put the shoe on, but he was like shaking, instead of shaking my shoe around, it was shaking the woman around, and the woman's like getting dragged around by the leg. So I I run up to her and I just give it a kick. I go, and guess what happens?
What?
Stop that, Sonic Fan. It's really irritating.
You get fined for kicking a bear?
Let's not jump to the end of the story. Now, I kick this thing, he turns around, he looks at me, and he comes at me. I'm like, oh! And so I run back outside. I'm running around. This thing's chasing me. It's like 20 meters, it's 30 meters, it's 40 meters. It doesn't matter. I sprint, and I lose him, and then I come to a jog, but he just catches up. He never stops. And so I jump on top of a rail, so there's a wooden rail, so you can jump on and stand up on top of it. So I'm fine, I'm safe. The little drop bears, he's walking around. He's having a good time. He's walking around. He wants to bite me. He can't bite me. I'm up like a meter off the ground, a meter and a half off the ground. This thing came up to about your ankle, so that's his size for you. And I'm good. But guess what happens?
What?
The chick who was in the cabin I burst into, she shows up. Because she's just some random guy came into her cabin, grabbed one of her torches and ran out. Now she's following me. And I'm like, well, you should get on top of this here rail, like right now, like right this second with me, right now, stand up. Get on this rail. So anyway, I'm like, get up on the rail, 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 get up the rail.
Yeah.
And so she's like, what?
Yeah.
And then this thing goes for her leg, and it just butts into her leg, and she jumps up towards the rail, misses the rail kinda, hits her arm on the rail, collapses on the creature, the thing bites into her stomach. So she's a fatty. So he bites into her stomach, goes grrr, and it goes deep, but nothing vital or anything. She's not like dying, but like it bites a massive chunk of her fat, like not off, but just bites into it. And so anyway, we run back to the kitchen, and oh my gosh, this is where things get really fun. So we run back to the kitchen, and for some reason it doesn't follow us. So I guess he's like having a good time, like with the taste of woman in her mouth. But we get back to the kitchen, and
Why are you kicking me, Tater?
we think we're safe. So I walk outside. They shut the kitchen. So so that woman who was bleeding, who got bit first time in the leg, yeah, she's still bleeding, and she's bleeding everywhere because she's on blood thinners, so she's screwed. So woman number 2. Yeah, she's on blood thinners, so that's not too good. So the woman who got bit in the stomach, she's now trying to, because she's not bleeding. She got bit, but she's not bleeding, so she's trying to, help that one. I walk outside because I'm an idiot, and
Yeah.
there it is! So I run, again, I sprint away, and I try to run, and I get away. So I run to the furthest cabin, and I run into it, and it's empty, no one's in it, and the creature seems to have lost interest when I went up there, so I was like, oh, fantastic, because he's like, the creature's like sniffing around where I was running previously, so he's looking for me or something, but I was like right there, but he doesn't care. So anyway, I go back, I get to my car, and I drive it to the old, the kitchen. So I get to the kitchen, and we get everyone in there. We get everyone in there. We're like, get in. And so the woman who's bleeding everywhere is like, hey, I need to go back to my cabin to get a first aid kit. And I'm like, well, you're gonna die, so we probably should get you to the hospital. And she's like, no, I gotta get the first aid kit. So we drive to her cabin, but the creature follows us, and he's like out there going, rah, 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 rah. And it's like, what the heck? So, we get the, what do we do? So we're like, yeah, well, you want to get out there and go get the first aid kit? And everyone's like, no, I don't want to get out there and get the first aid kit. So the solution's pretty simple. Yeah, so we're in it, the little creature's going around, rah, 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 rah. And it's like, well, if we got two choices, we either go to the hospital or we try and get the first aid kit, and they want to get the first aid kit because they don't want to bleed all over my car. And I appreciate them not wanting to bleed over my car because, that's probably hard or something to get out. I wouldn't know.
You're not getting that out.
So the solution's pretty simple. Like, I just accelerate, I drive away, I turn around, and I drive straight back, and I hit him with my car! Yeah.
Oh my god.
Hit him with the wheel, smash him with the wheel. And I think he's got it, but he's a big old guy, he's a big old creature, a big old drop bear. And then we turn around and we come back, and he's still alive. He's still like stuttering around. He's there. So I go straight at him, and guess what happens? He just dodges. He just sidesteps. He goes, I miss him. And so he runs in under the cabin. Under the cabin. So with the headlights pointed out under the cabin, we're like, all right, go get your bed, cat. And so they go and they open it up, and there's like a band-aid on the inside. It's like, what the? We did all that, and so you can get a band-aid. You got an inch, gash in your leg. You're still bleeding everywhere because you're on blood thinners because, whatever, but yeah. So, anyway, guess who, anyone have any idea what the creature was?
Honey badger?
I got it! Koala.
It was a wombat.
Wombat.
Aren't those usually shy?
It was a pet wombat.
What?
It was a pet wombat.
Whose?
It was owned by the people who owned the cabins.
Oh. Bro, that is a fucking lawsuit right there.
Oh boy.
Did they sue?
I didn't sue.
But the bloodthirsty creature creature? Did it die?
Literally.
We had to
killed somebody.
listen. It's like, oh, well, you know,
You
the
tried
dog
killing
was
it, it didn't
rabid,
work.
but I did kill it, so, you know.
You killed it.
He said he
Wanna
tried
go-
to kill
Yeah,
it.
well,
didn't
obviously
work.
it got run
So
over,
you
and
have
then
to
it would
pay
have to be
a fine
put
of
out of
some
its
sort.
misery.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's true.
White
Groundskeeper
sauce.
shot it.
Thank you.
Sonic fan, what's
And
your
I'm
story
sorry,
since you're so
I was
eager to
being-
interrupt?
I'm not interrupting. I was being completely silent and was just minding everything you were talking about.